Welcome to the IMU Virtual Info Day. And for today's session, we have a talk by Dr. James Walsh. Dr. James is the head of the Foundation in Science in IMU, and he will be sharing with you about Foundation in Science. Now, just a little housekeeping rules. Please keep all your mics muted. There will be a question and answer session. So if you have any questions during Dr. James's talk, please put them in the group chat and we will address your questions shortly at the end of his talk. And this session will be recorded. And for questions which are not answered due to constraint of time, it will be addressed at the IMU website, and it's going to be uploaded as a question and answer. All right, over to you, Dr. James.
Thank you, Sharon. I'll start by sharing my slides. You can confirm that they are visible. Okay, Sharon? Can see? Okay.
We can see you.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on this virtual talk. As Sharon said, I'm Dr. James Walsh. I'm the head of pre-university studies. I'm from Ireland. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor of science, physics, in fact. And I've been teaching or managing education in Malaysia for about 8 years. So today I'll just give you some brief background on the foundation course. And you can engage in a lot more detail in our questions and answers with us afterwards, or with our colleagues on Talk 2 from the marketing department. So the question is, why choose Foundation in Science at IMU? It's a one-year program. It's got multiple intakes. You're heading for what was the June intake that was in the literature, but it's now July 1st because of the government regulations. But the literature says June, so I'll be consistent with that. And those intakes are dovetailed with the undergraduate intakes. So you're coming to do Foundation in Science at IMU with a view to getting into medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, biomedical sciences, chiro, all of our degrees. And that is our #1 goal. So one of the advantages we have as a pre-university course is we can alter and shift our academic calendars as required, viz. In the current COVID situation. So we can best help you to progress to your chosen degree, which is what you want to do, so you can more quickly reach your chosen profession and get out into the jobs market. So this one-year program has 3 semesters with 5 subjects in each semester. And they're not all core science. The focus is on biology, chemistry, and mathematics, obviously. But we do have a lot of professional studies modules like English, computing studies, psychology, thinking skills. So we try and give you a broad-based education so that you're better prepared for undergraduate day 1 when you arrive on that course. So we teach you how to be a university student and unlearn some of the habits that were required for school but are not really ideal for university, such as rote learning. We want you to be self-learning. So, and the 3-semester structure is also mimics the structure of the undergraduate courses. So you gradually progress through the course. It's not one big exam at the end. In addition, compared to some other pre-university courses, we are 50% continuous assessment and 50% by exam. And this allows you to build up a score during the semester if you're working hard. So all of the pressure is not on the end of semester exam. Particularly, for example, if you have a subject you don't favor, a subject you might find a bit tricky. Make sure you do well during the semester. It takes the pressure off the exam. And we also have bursaries and scholarships, which my colleagues can share with you, depending on the number of A's you get in your SPM or O level. And there's also a progression scholarship. We will revert 50% of whatever fees you pay us back when you progress to one of our undergraduate programs. So, there's many health science degree options in IMU, 12. I can show you the list later if you wish. We're also unique in that we have partner track. That is, you can do half of your undergraduate degree at IMU at the local fees rate and half in one of our partner universities abroad in countries such as Australia, New Zealand, the UK, my own country, Ireland, China, and Canada, to name but a few. And Foundation is also accepted for direct entry to some other universities. We have memoranda of understanding with them, and we're expanding on that all the time. And some students even apply on their own using the foundation course to apply to medical schools abroad and are frequently successful, and we help them with that. So it is becoming more international. However, the focus is on progressing to our degrees, and the progression rate, so of the foundation students who join us, 85% usually progress onto our degrees. So if, for example, in the intake FS 220, which is coming up, the July intake, there were 100 students, for example, we would normally expect 85% to make it. The other 15% may go to another university because they've changed the topic. They want to do some completely different subject, business or arts or engineering. Some will go to other universities abroad or for personal reasons or financial reasons. So, however, if you are in foundation, you do have a degree of preferred entry to IMU degrees, because during the foundation program, you will get briefings in semester 2 in detail from all of our degree programs and be informed. So if you came originally to do medicine and you decided, oh, what's biomedical science all about? Then you will get a briefing. So if you're going to change your mind about your degree choice, you can make an informed decision and inform your parents. And you can talk to FIS buddies. They are seniors who are now in the degree programs, and you can say, what's it like in biomedical science? What kind of chemistry do they have? What's Chinese medicine like? And your parents can also talk through you to the buddies. And we can also arrange for you and your parents to meet professors and mentors from the degree programs, so you make an informed decision. In addition, in semester 3 of Foundation in Science, based on your semester 2 CGPA, if you qualify for your degree program, so for example, for medicine, you need to have a CGPA ideally of 3.5 and above. You can apply if it's 3 and above. You can then apply to the medical program while you're in semester 3, do your interview, book your seat on the course, pending your semester 3 results being good. So you have an inherent advantage over those outside pre-university students who are coming into IMU. They're all doing excellent programs, but they really can't apply until they have their final certificate. So this is the program structure. And as I said, chemistry, biology, maths are core. Physics, not so much. I teach the physics. It's mainly health sciences oriented. English, computing studies, how to write medical apps, thinking skills, cross-boundary studies, which is community work, psychology. So there's a broad range of subjects, so you'll have a broad range of education. So you gradually build up your CGPA. If, for example, semester 1 did not go very well, you didn't study hard enough or you didn't work hard enough, and your CGPA was slightly lacking in terms of what you require to progress, then work much harder in semester 2, improve your grade point average, your CGPA, and finish off well in semester 3. If you have a pre-university course that has one large exam at the end, then it's all based on that one day. And if you have a bad day or something goes wrong, then you have to repeat the whole exam at some time in the future. If you have a bad day in foundation and you fail an exam, we do have resit exams, but you're tied to a C grade. So there are more alternatives and there are more ways to correct for any errors you might make in your education, but hopefully you don't. So what leads to success? It's not just a teaching, but obviously that's a core part of it, but the curriculum is well designed. That is, those in our degree courses have informed us what should be in the chemistry and biology and so forth syllabuses. So they've been fine-tuned to maximize the benefit to you going forward to undergraduate. I already mentioned thorough exposure to our degree programs. Pastoral care, you're going to go from school to a university undergraduate program in a 1-year foundation program. So it's not easy, it's not difficult, but it's intensive. And we mentor and guide you and support you at every point. I do a lot of personal mentoring of students and talk to parents. So our job is to guide you, and when you're stressed, you can talk to us or see the counselors, or we can help you develop new ways of studying. Strong team of dedicated lecturers. Some of them are here with us, some who are on the talk to sessions, and they are foundation teachers. They're not university professors. They're adept at communicating with students who have just left school and are used to school-based learning and changing their way of teaching to university-based learning. So they're very skilled in that. And in fact, Some of the older professors like myself might not be so good at that. They're better at teaching core undergraduate. So it's a unique style of pre-university teaching. Regulations and procedures, handbooks, timetables, academic calendars, all provided. Share them with your parents. Know your rights, know what you need to do to be successful. The teaching is also aligned with degree. You'll begin to be lectured. Okay, it'll start off with teaching, but there will be elements of lecturing. So in lecturing, you have to listen and you have to absorb the knowledge. So we'll gradually, not day one, not week one or month one, we'll gradually change your mindset from school-based learning, which is what you needed when you were younger, to independent university lifelong learning. Also, campus life is very important. You'll be hopefully lucky enough to be back on campus. So there will be activities, obviously socially distanced under the current circumstances. And there's the Student Representative Council and the sports, etc. But they are a bit constrained at the moment in the current health situation. IMU Cares, we do a lot of community work and engagement with the community and community projects. If you're going to do medicine, for example, for the medical interview, you frequently get asked, what charitable work have you done? Have you worked in a hospital? Have you done any voluntary work? People want to know, do you have a vocation for what you want to do? And IMU tries to bring that out with you. Can't emphasize enough, continuous lifelong learning and work-life balance. So don't study. I had a student who missed an exam the other day because she got up to study at 3 a.m. and fell asleep before the exam. So get your sleep, get your food, have your social life, but work hard and learn throughout your life. I'm still learning things. When students tell me things I don't know, even about physics, I'm delighted. I think it's good. So I emphasize this, coursework and end of semester exam. Don't neglect your coursework and say, I'm going to rely on the 50% of the exam to be successful. Mathematically, that can be impossible or very difficult. So as your coursework results come out, your mentor will engage with you and give you, for example, your first chemistry test in week 6 or 7 of semester 1. And say, oh, you got an A in chemistry, well done, keep it up. Or, oh my, you got a B in chemistry or a C, you need to improve a little bit. And do you know where you went wrong? And you will get feedback. So you're constantly adjusting and recalibrating your studies to maximize your grade so you can achieve the progression to the undergraduate program that you wish to do. And we'll ask you what program you need to do when you come in, so, or you wish to do. So we'll ask, well, you want to do medicine. So I will always engage with my mentors based on their desired undergraduate program. If, for example, they change their mind halfway and say, no, I don't want to do medicine, I want to do psychology, no problem. You can change your mind anytime. That just changes the discourse, how we talk to each other as mentor and mentee, because the grade determines what course you can get into. Obviously, if you get A in everything, you can enter all courses. If you get B- in everything, it limits you to certain courses. And that's all contained in our brochure. So unique styles of teaching. Self-directed learning, very important at the moment with the current mode of online teaching. Collaborative projects, presentations, continuous assessments. And we've adapted all these to be online. You will have a blend of online and face-to-face teaching. You will have small group face-to-face teaching all going well, but the larger classes such as the lecture, which might have 100 students in, will still be online for health and safety reasons. But our current cohorts of students, the previous intake in April, have had fully online because of the unfortunate MCO situation. And they have engaged very well with the lectures and are pretty happy with the situation. However, we're dying to meet them and we hope we can get them on campus at the same time as you. So there are class tests, there's semester exams, there's practicals. The practicals will hopefully be face-to-face. Report writing, lots of ways for you to score and do well. Students frequently do well in assignments and practicals, get A. So if your class test goes poorly, you can make it up in these other events. So you need to be strategic. We have 3 intakes. Again, I'll correct this June intake, but that's what the literature said, so I've been consistent. But as you know, it's July 1st. The enrollment day will be online. The orientation will be online. And teaching face-to-face should start the week of July 6th, if I'm correct, Monday. But probably that will be a lecture first day, so you'll have tutorials maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the timetable. And if you wish to wait, a bit further, or you miss this intake, you can apply to our September intake. If you are outstation or abroad and you can't get here, or you're concerned, you're predisposed to COVID, you have some condition that makes you an at-risk group, you can still engage in fully online teaching. We're planning to teach face-to-face and fully online. So for example, the face-to-face tutorials will be recorded and or broadcast live. So you don't have to come if you're from outstation, if you're from Terengganu, or you're from East Malaysia, you don't have to come and rent an apartment beside the campus unless you wish to do so. But given that the contact will be 50 to 60%, hopefully, you may feel you wish to stay online. But we'll talk to you about that later. Please engage with our Facebook page. It's social as well as academic. There's lots of good academic resources on it. We've even done some Facebook Live teaching. As you can see, we have a large student cohort. The 29 intakes were 375 students. There's great camaraderie among the students, and the FIS group do enjoy themselves. They work hard, and the FIS team work hard to support them. I can answer questions on the entry requirements, the progression requirements to degree, and the scholarships, but these are all contained in our extensive brochures, and our marketing people can share those with you. If you contact me, I will share them with you, no problem. And this is my contact details. Okay, I'll give you my hand phone number, and I'll leave that screen up so you can snap it. And this is my email address. I will always reply to my emails. So if you email me, I will respond. And Ms. Kanaga is our program director. So she does all the nuts and bolts of the course, the timetabling, etc. So she's very important in detail about the course. When is the chemistry lecture? When is the chemistry exam? I can be a bit blur on that because I'm working in my management role. And Ms. Sharon, who introduced me, was also the founding director of the course. And we have lots of people who can inform you. So get the information from the professionals. You will have student reps who will talk to us, and we will channel information to and from you. So you should always be well informed, and always keep your parents in the loop. Okay, it's a team based on your parents, you, and us, and we're working to get you the education you wish to have. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. James. We are opening up the floor for questions, and if any of you have questions, you can type it in the chat, and we will address them right now. Now, maybe some of you may be asking, Dr. James, just now you mentioned that some of the classes would still be online, right?
Yes.
You would like to share with us on what platform is this online teaching? Is it also Zoom?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, as some of you may already know, we're giving you your email addresses. So Zoom is not secure. It's kind of it's used widely by the public. So we have our own Teams platform, which is Microsoft based, and you can only access it if you have an IMU email account, and it's more stable. And we've had I've had town halls with students up to 200 on it, and then small group teaching. And all of the actual content, your lectures and your tutorials and videos that support them will be on our e-learning platform. And all that is provided, again, through your login of your email address. So that in principle, the contents of the e-learning platform and the lectures you will get or the tutorials you will get face-to-face, and any lectures that are audio online, that knowledge is sufficient for you to do well in the exams if you engage it in a very professional way. We do recommend additional textbooks, but that's just to support the knowledge. If you understand the notes and you understand the tutorials and you have a broad understanding of the content required, you should do fine in the exam. But reading around your subject is good practice. If you go to a degree like medicine next year, you have to do a lot of additional reading and research. And when you become a doctor, every time you see a patient with a condition that you're unfamiliar with, you've got to go and research it yourself. So we're trying to get you into the habit of reading additional information and not just rote learning the given information.
Okay, Dr. James, we just have a question coming in from Pravin. He asked if will the exams for the first semester be online or at the campus?
Okay, so if we start in July, then there'll be a 3-month semester, so July, August, September. So your exam should be sometime around October. So at the moment, the regulations are that we cannot have large groups on campus together, okay? So we cannot put 100 students, which is likely to be in your intake, in a large hall to get in at the same time. We might be able to disperse you, but at the moment not, but hopefully the situation will change. If epidemiologically the situation continues to improve at the same rate, I think things will improve, but I can't personally make any promises. However, we did have our first fully online exam for one of our current intakes for semester 2 recently. They were heavily mentored and briefed in terms of mock exams and how to use the system. And the feedback from them was the online exam process was very positive. They liked it. So if, for example, the COVID situation is still poor, then some students may not want to come to the campus. You may be putting their health at risk. So we may have to have online exams, or they can get proctored. But hopefully the situation will change. But as it stands, if we were to hold an exam in July, for example, which you don't have, it would be online.
Okay, thank you, Dr. James. There's another question. Praise would like to know the course fees for foundation.
Okay, the total course fee for foundation, including plus some registration fee, is about 25,000, 24,900 something, and that is paid over 3 semesters and sometimes in installments during each semester. So you basically pay 8,000 per semester. If you have 8 A's or A pluses or above in core science subjects and English, I believe, you can look at the terms and conditions from your SPM or your O level, then the fees are discounted 50%. So you only end up paying us about 12,500 ringgit. So you pay about 4,000 per semester. If you then progress into our degree, we will refund all of the half of the fees you paid, all of the 12,000 that is prorated in your undergraduate fees. So foundation becomes effectively free of charge. If you have a lesser number of A's, 7 or 6 or 5, then you will pay some fees, but you'll still get the progression scholarship. So the 50% refund of your fees is not dependent on what you got in your O level or SPM, and it's not dependent on your grade or the undergraduate you're going into. It's universal for all students who go on to IMU degrees.
Okay, Dr. James, there's one question. I think the participant missed your points earlier. She asked if they can transfer to IMU's partner university upon completion of Foundation in Science in IMU.
Sorry,
are they able to transfer to IMU partner university upon completion of the foundation program?
No. Well, I mean, you're free to contact these universities on your own and apply to them. And I believe students have done this in the past. But at the moment, the partners accept students to them via the partner track program, which is you do the first half of your degree in IMU.
I see. Will the entry requirement for these partner higher?
Yes, the CGPA for the partners, let's say medicine, for example, is about 3.5. For the partner track, it's currently about 3.7. It depends on the degree. So they're looking for A students, basically. So there's limited seats on the partner track. So let's say you want to go to a partner in Australia, they might say we have 10 seats available. So if 11 students apply for those 10 seats, the person who doesn't make it, if it's based on their grade, will probably have the lowest CGPA. So the higher the CGPA you have, the better chance you have getting to your first choice partner. If you fail to make a first choice partner, then you can revert to your second choice partner, and so on and so forth. Okay, but yes, it's competitive because they want the best students. But if you fail to get the partner CGPA in foundation and join our program, and you do very well in the first 2 years of your degree, you can then reapply to go on partner track, but then it depends on whether there's any places left at that later point.
Okay. Dr. James, Prashwin asked that he received an email stating that some lab sessions will commence on 6th of July in the university. And does that mean the students have to be in campus by then?
No, I think that was referring to some undergraduate laboratory sessions and people who might be mid-semester, etc. So our labs usually start, we only have laboratories, face-to-face laboratories for chemistry and biology. So they usually don't start until about week 4 or 5. I think you can correct me on that, Sharon, as for program director. So you have about 5 labs in the semester. So you probably won't have your first labs until August. Now,
Yeah.
we're planning that if the labs are face-to-face, and if you can't make it because for the aforementioned reasons, international outstation or health condition, then we're hoping to be able to Zoom you into the lab so you can join it virtually, share the data, and write the report. And we're still working out the logistics of that.
Okay. Naga asked whether it is confirmed that our FIS face-to-face classes will start on 6th of July, or will there be any changes to the date?
No, the current academic calendar teaching starts on the 6th of July. Now that's a Monday. So usually the way it happens is the lectures are front-ended. So you do the lecture first and then the tutorial is based, it's applied knowledge, it's practice on doing calculations based on the lecture. So until you have a few lectures under your belt, you don't have tutorials. So the tutorials, I think I had a look at the timetable, they start later on in that week. However, if you want to opt for face-to-face and not fully online, but you haven't made it here yet, you couldn't fly in or you haven't got your apartment, or you can engage in the online process and then say, oh, I've now got my apartment or I've arrived in Kuala Lumpur, I'd like to engage in face-to-face. So we're going to be pretty flexible about that. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, maybe I can throw in a question on behalf of the audience. Are students allowed to apply for PTPN for the foundation program?
No, PTPN is only for degree programs, and I'm not sure if it's for diploma programs, so it's not for pre-university programs.
I see. And does IMU offer scholarship?
Yeah, so for the foundation program or for the degree?
For the degree.
Oh yeah, so yes. So for example, foundation students do very well in the scholarship interviews. It doesn't mean they're favored or they're guaranteed to get a scholarship. It's probably because they've been in the university for a year. They're used to dealing with the professors. They're more at home in the environment, and they do well in the scholarship interview. The scholarship is based on your CGPA. So for example, if you want to apply for the medical scholarship, there's 1 per intake. There's 2 medical intakes. It's very competitive because obviously it's worth $500,000 ringgit. One of our students, foundation students, Shivadeva, recently got it. He had flat 4, so he got A in everything. And he did very well in the interview. He was very relaxed and very professional and very mature, because scholarship is not just you're brilliant at chemistry and biology and you're a top student academically. You also have to be an ambassador for the university. You represent your peers. They look up to you. So there's many dimensions to being a scholar. So you have to be an all-round good student academically and personality-based as well. And you're asked to do things. You're asked to represent the university at events, etc. So you're held up as an ambassador and an example to the student body and to prospective students. But yes, foundation students frequently get scholarships, but it's not guaranteed, obviously.
Is there any more questions from the participants? Is there anything that you would like to ask? Okay, maybe I can throw in another question for Dr. James.
Sure.
Just now you mentioned something about mentoring system.
Yeah.
You can elaborate more on what else can the mentors, what else do mentors do?
Yeah. So your mentor, like if I'm your mentor, I'm there not in my capacity as head of department. I'm there as or a physics teacher. I'm not just going to mentor you physics or computing studies with a teacher. It's a broader thing. Basically, you engage with your mentee, specifically when assessments are released, and you discuss it. If the assessment is on target, I usually say to my mentees, hi, you got an A in your chemistry test. Well done, congratulations, keep up the good work. If they get a B or a C, I would say, you got a B, well done with the B, or with the C, I would say, okay, do you know where it went wrong, or are you happy with the C grade? And usually if a student gets a grade lower than they expected, it's for one of three reasons. Either it's a subject they don't favor and they have an inherent lifelong academic weakness in that, which they need to overcome. And if they can't, for example, if they don't like chemistry, but they want to do pharmacology, then I will say you really, or pharmacy, you really need to reconsider that, because pharmacy is full of chemistry. So you need to guide them to not make poor academic decisions. Secondly, if they get a low grade, it's because they may not have worked hard enough. So then I won't scold them. I'll just say, great, okay, you know the reason you didn't do enough study, so now go and do enough study. So it's basically a recalibration of their work ethic. And the third is, I made the complete the exam and I didn't answer the questions right and I was nervous. And I'd say, well, if you were to do the exam tomorrow or the same test, which will be embedded in your end of semester exam, similar type questions, would you do better? Yes. So therefore you've learned for the process. It didn't go well, but you've learned how to make it go in the future. And that's the key.
All right, James, we just have one question, a few questions that came in actually. Is it compulsory for foundation students to join curricular activities?
Define curricular activities. Oh, you mean the sports and all of that kind of stuff? Yeah, no. That's a social life. But if you were my mentee and you looked unhappy, your grades were good, but you looked very isolated and unhappy, and I'd say, and I see you in the canteen all on your own after 6 weeks of term or whatever, and that's okay. It's your choice if you want to be a loner, but engaging fully in all aspects of university life makes it a more fulfilling experience, and the work-life balance makes your study better. If you're just on your own, in your apartment, in your study room, 24/7 with no social outlet, I believe it's not a good way to learn and study. Also, depending on what career you want to do, if you want to be a biomedical scientist and work in a research lab in a company or university, then you need a certain set of social skills. If you want to be a doctor and you need to treat patients and tell people what can be sometimes quite harrowing news about their relatives, you need to develop skills of empathy and communication with people. So engaging in the university in a social way and an extracurricular way enhances your skills. But I'm not going to force you to have friends. That's not my job.
Okay, Dr. James, I think your line is breaking. The IT team will shut off your camera, so to reduce line breaking. Okay, another question for you, Dr. James. What is the degree course fees for dietitian and nutritionist?
Okay, I don't know that off the top of my head. Anybody here from marketing? I can't answer that straight up. I can open up the file.
The information is on the IMU website.
It's on the website under our uploads on the website. So if you Google IMU uploads, all of the brochures are there. Apologies, I don't know that information, and I don't want to misinform you. So I'll demur on that answer. Sorry. How's my audio now? Is it better?
Yes, your audio is better now, Dr. James.
All right. My apologies.
Actually, just sharing from experience as well regarding the co-curricular activity. I think during the scholarship interview or the medical and dental interview, the interviewers usually would also ask, whether the person that they are interviewing is an all-rounder. It's not just book smart, but also actively involved in. So no, it's not compulsory, but it would help actually. Right. Another question. The GPA scholarship only sponsors students for the local degree program, but not the twinning program. Is that right? Dr. James? Dr. James?
Sorry, I'm having bandwidth problems. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
it's giving me an error message, but okay.
Yeah,
Hope for the best. So the JPA will only fund you to do the local track program because they want to fund doctors and dentists and pharmacists to work in the Malaysian healthcare system. In the past, they funded students to go abroad and they never came back to Malaysia. So the JPA felt that that was not in line with the philosophy of what JPA, Mara, Yayasan, and Kazana are all about. Okay.
Yeah, and Lillian asked, when the foundation program starts, will the classes be online or face-to-face? Maybe you can elaborate on how the students will be able to indicate whether they opt to do face-to-face or online?
Well, first of all, we'll hopefully have some buddies from the previous intakes. You will meet students from last year's September break who will be our seniors. Meet them online during the process. We'll provide you information on it. So as it stands, according to the ministry directive, we can have small group teaching of skills-based classes. So at the moment, the definition of skills-based classes will be tutorials and laboratories and maybe some problem-based learning. And hopefully that definition will broaden in time. Obviously, we're mindful of your health and safety. A lecture is considered information-based, so it's something you engage with and you understand the information, whereas a tutorial is problem-solving based on what you learned in the lecture. So they will be on the PowerPoint with audio overlay will be on the e-learning, and the audio overlay, hopefully, in my case, is much important. We try to make it as much like a lecture as possible, where we talk around the slides, etc., and so forth. Okay, and some students have told me they prefer my audio lectures than being face to face with me. I'm not sure whether that's an insult or not, but if they, whatever the students prefer, that's what's important. So, for example, if you wanted me to give you a quick sample of what an audio lecture is like, I will gladly send you a few slides from one of my physics ones if you email me. And they're so you can have you'll be well informed about that. I hope that answers it.
Yes, I will. Actually, just to add on to what Dr. James was saying, in the last cohort that the current students who are doing it online, actually, they prefer it online because they were able to rewatch the videos, recordings of the online classes, which help them learn better actually compared to a face-to-face class. But just to reiterate what Dr. James was saying, as his line was slightly breaking, lectures will still be online. Small group teaching, which is skill-based, such as tutorial and labs, will be face-to-face. I hope that answered your question, Lillian. All right. Any more questions? Oh, there is one, Dr. James. What are the advantages of Foundation in Science versus other pre-U programs?
Okay. Am I still coming through? Okay.
Yes, so far.
Okay. So let's compare it to A-level, and I'm not making a negative comparison. A-level is excellent, and we have lots of A-level students who are very successful in our degrees. So first of all, A-level is not structured in a semester format. So you do one big exam at the end, and as you know, due to COVID, this has been somewhat disrupted, unfortunately, for those students. In our case, our foundation intakes, 2 of them had finished a number of semesters. They had to do the last semester online. We were able to make adaptations to the academic calendar and the teaching. Whereas because A-level is global, that's quite hard to do because it's on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the quality of your school. I'm sure of them. But as we're trying to academically get undergraduate, we'll do our to train the foundation. The content is adapted to be best suited, so that when you go into undergraduate day 1, you're sitting alongside an A-level student who has straight A's. They might have a little bit more science, a bit more physics, a little bit more chemistry, more of the engineering side, for example. that they don't require in medicine. It's still good knowledge. So basically our syllabus is based on the A-level syllabus, but I think you can correct Sharon, it's about 80%, depending on the course. So it's been fine-tuned for that process. Obviously, A-levels are international. You can take your A-level and go anywhere in the world and apply to a university in principle. But foundation is becoming more and more international, and I'm doing more work in making it more international. And then we obviously have our partner track, which is your route to international degrees as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. James. Now, Akal has a very interesting question. Is it possible for someone from another university with a CGPA of 3.6 or 3.7 to enroll into the dentistry or medicine program in IMU? Do they stand a chance? From a institution.
From a foundation program, yeah, yes, absolutely. So, for example, in medicine, I monitor the progress of the foundation students in medicine and compare it to A-level and IB to make sure that they're doing well, okay? If they were all struggling, then we'd have to make adaptations to our course, bring it up to standard, but it's up to a very high standard. So in medicine alone, one of the years I checked, there was 14 different pre-university courses they came from, all over the world, OSMAT, IB, EdXL, you name it. And all of those students were accepted. So if you look at the minimum entry requirements, which is a document on our downloads, it's incredibly complicated. It's a huge spreadsheet of how you can enter all of these from all of these different pre-U courses. So the answer is yes. On the other hand, we have students who join foundation who maybe attempted A-levels, and for whatever reason, they didn't like the way it was, the style of it. They dropped out of A-levels or didn't A-levels. And sometimes up to about 5 or 10% of our students have previously done a pre-university course, and they do very well. That's not to imply foundation is easier. They just seem to adapt better to the style of teaching and the modus operandi, the way it works in foundation. So it's not that A-level was bad for them, it just wasn't suited to their teaching style, and foundation is.
Okay, thank you, Dr. James. Now, Prashvin asked again, does this mean that he has to be in campus on the 6th of July? Maybe I can help Dr. James answer that. Prashvin, it depends on the timetable. So we will release the timetable nearer to the date. And if the timetable states lecture, then you have to be in camp. Lecture online, then it is online. So it depends on the timetable. Is that right, Dr. James?
Yes, but our plan is, and we're still working at the logistics of this, is to have mixed mode. So students who are outstation or haven't rented their apartment, you know, because obviously there's a small window because of the uncertainties related to COVID, and international students may be in quarantine, so they will be in the hotel somewhere. And students who have a predisposition that puts them in a higher risk group, they've been advised by the doctor to isolate more than the rest of the population. We will be providing online questions.
Sorry, that wasn't very clear, Dr. James. Your line was breaking again.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So back to the start.
Slightly, maybe just slightly.
Okay, so we'll be providing dual mode teaching, online and face-to-face for all students.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr.
I'll keep it short. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now, some participants are concerned if the 1 year curriculum versus, say, for example, A-levels, which is 1.5 years, is it strong enough to build a foundation for the medical degree program, for example? Is that 1 year enough?
In my opinion, definitely. And of course, I would say that. But we have a series of what are called buddies. We have seniors in all of our degree programs who are former foundation students. And if you wish to email me, I will share the buddy list with you. And you can struggle because you're foundation, or do you find you have to work harder than A-level students? So talk to the buddies. Those guys will tell you if it was prep. But my understanding of talking to foundation students in the corridor who are now in undergraduate, and we chit chat all the time because 30% of the students in the university are nearly former foundation. And I always ask them, how are the exams going? How's this going? And that they're fine. And if a student fails, I usually find out what the reason was. So, for example, I had a student recently who failed in medicine from foundation, and she was very good and hard work, but she was rote learning the course. She needed to change her learning style. You cannot rote learn medicine. There's too much information in it. So we try and find out if there are any constraints, what they are, and fix them. But at the moment, there seems to be none. But talk to the buddies, they'll tell you.
In fact, speaking of buddies, I would like to invite everyone to another virtual forum that we're having at 2 o'clock with some students, current students of Foundation in Science and the alumni. And some of them have actually attempted the A levels, and they would be able to explain to you the difference in their experience between A levels and Foundation. And that session will begin at 2 o'clock actually. And to add on to what Dr. James was explaining, some of our students, based on feedback with their classmates in the medical program or the dentistry program, they realized that students coming from the other pre-U programs were relying very heavily on past year papers, such as the A-levels past year papers and the STPM past year papers, which the Foundation in Science are not drilled in such a way, so they are more prepared for university learning, not depending on past year papers. I hope that answers your question. Is there any more questions you have for Dr. James? Is there any more questions for Dr. James?
Can I check? Did everybody get my email earlier recorded?
Yes, somebody responded that they, oh no, Dr. James, can you maybe share screen for your contact again?
Yeah, I've closed down my PowerPoint to save bandwidth, so I'm going to type it into the chat now.
Sure.
There we go. James
Okay.
Walsh at imu.edu.my. So I'm sorry I was breaking up a bit, everybody. I'm willing to talk to you on the phone personally or by email at any time.
Right. Again, a reminder, if you need to maybe hear from the students itself, the next session is at 2 o'clock. You'll find the details on the IMU website for today's virtual info day. If you have got no more questions for Dr. James, we would like to thank you for attending this session and hope to see you again. Do let us know if we can assist you in any other way. We will address your queries on a one-to-one basis at the virtual platform available on the IMU website as well.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Sharon. Sorry I was breaking up a bit.
No worries. Thank you.